Well, we can start at the beginning. I think that 78, it has to be first and foremost. 78, John Carpenter, masterpiece of that time, I feel.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was the first time they had tried to do that POV shot in one solid take. And they actually did stop recording at one point, and the only way they were able to do it is when they were putting the mask on, and there was that black moment. That's when they cut the tape, and they edited it back in.
Smart.
Now that because they only had so much time. I think they had 30 seconds of roll of tape, and they had to splice it to make it one cohesive shot. You needed a black moment, continue that shot on, and that's why they were able to do it when they put the mask on. And it's actually Debra Hill who's grabbing the knife out of the drawer. Walking around doing the whole thing. They didn't have the little kid doing it. He was just there for the outside shot. Because that was literally the only bloody scene in the entire movie.
You had said that, and I said, no, I thought that there was at least a little bit, like, on Jamie Lee's shoulder at the end.
Put a little bit maybe on her shirt, but it wasn't really a bloody cut. Well, that was one of the producers didn't want it to be like other slashers and have lots of blood and gore. He wanted to be more intense and creepy. And that's why, like, most of the scenes, you'll just see, like in the car when he grabs the girl and he slices her throat, to be kind of eerie and opposed to being disgusting and gross. They didn't really start showing blood till Halloween 2. That's when it started to get a little more on the gorier side and more slasher style.
I just find that to be so much more intense when you have that feeling.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, like that creepiness and that simmer of that moment. It's like, oh, it sticks with you.
Well, that's why at the beginning too, they like show like, why does Michael look at his hand and the knife? No, he's looking at it because for one, it's the first time he's ever done it. And for two, it's for the audience to see life going down. It's like in Psycho. It's the creepiness value. You know, like that would be laughed at. If someone put out a movie like that today as a brand new movie, it would probably be laughed at. But because it's classic and started something, people are okay with it.
It's also in that time frame where it gained notoriety for its time, which is good because usually something like that is iconic. You know, you have the first Jason film. I mean, talk about simmering moments. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen fucking Friday the 13th, the first one, this is not my fault, this is yours. But the way that Mrs. Voorhees, like the way she was like, kill her, mommy. Kill her. Like, oh my God, her eye. Like, it was like you watching it as a kid. That's not traumatizing, but it's very jarring and you remember it because it stayed and it simmered there, you know.
Jamie Lee Curtis, I think it was her mom that was in Psycho. The one who dies in the shower.
Yes.
And she does make an appearance later on in one of the Halloween movies. Well, she was in H2O with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Happy Halloween.
That they have a little quick discussion together.
Yeah.
And that's actually her mom.
That's
which is
cool.
she's one of the original Scream Queens, right?
Oh, yeah.
The whole original idea behind Halloween was to make a different story, make it an anthology, make it a different story every time. Because Michael Myers was such a hit, that's why Halloween 2 continued that night and continued with Michael Myers and had an ending for him. Because everyone forgets, then there was Halloween 4. Yeah, they brought him back later, but originally he ended there in that fire in number 2. And lit on fire, and that was supposed to be the end of him. That's why Halloween 3 went Season of the Witch and was a completely different story.
Different, everyone hated it, yeah.
But it didn't receive well. So, of course, how do they make money again? Bring back Michael Myers. So then enter Halloween 4, Return of Michael Myers, where he's not really as creepy and stalky as he is more just walk in and kill you. Jamie Lee Curtis didn't want to come back for Halloween 4, so they came up with this other plot of her daughter being the target, you know.
Right.
This is continuing the storyline that Laurie Strode is Michael Myers' sister. So from there, then we go to the crap of a movie, Curse of Michael Myers. Enter Mr. Paul Rudd.
Mommy?
He's possessed. He's supposed to kill his entire family for the betterment of the village. Like, that's where this whole curse comes from. And they try to exploit it and stuff. It's just, the movie's a mess.
Hated it.
But then you get that awesome scene of Paul Rudd where Michael walks in or something. He turns around, looks at him. He does this weird thing with his face.
Rumor that Michael and Laurie were brother and sister. How did that come? Which sequel do you learn that in, and is it true?
You learn it in Halloween 2. So for the Thorn timeline and the H2O timeline, those are both canon. Like, they are brother and sister in those two timelines. The new timeline with Halloween Ends, so it would be the original Halloween, then Halloween 2018, then Halloween Kills, and then Halloween Ends. They are not brother and sister. The only reason they even come in contact again in 2018 is because Dr. Sartan, or whatever his name is, brings Michael to Laurie's house. But Laurie's been fortified and waiting for him for 40 years to come back, thinking that he really wanted her, but he didn't want her. He didn't care. She was just in the way.
Right.
And the only reason he wants to kill her again is because she's in the way now.
Right.
And that's why in Kills, he doesn't go to the hospital looking for her. He goes and does other things. He just kills other people along the way of what he wants to do. He wants to go home. He goes home. People are there. He kills them. More people come. He kills them. He's like, leave me alone and I'll stop killing you, kind of thing, maybe. I don't know. And then Halloween Ends, well, they destroy his home, so he can't go home. That's why he ends up in the sewers, and he's like a dying dog. Then the old guy says he's been killing people and dragging them in there. They're only people that come close, like Corey did, and he dragged his body in. And then when they looked in each other's eyes, you have pain like me. You killed already like me. And I think that's maybe why Michael didn't kill him.
Right.
So that the evil in Corey that was probably already there started manifesting more, thinking, hey, I could be you. I could be the next you. You're falling apart. I could be you. And when it doesn't really work out, when he's wearing that silly little scarecrow mask, because he let his feelings for Laurie's granddaughter, because he had feelings for her and wanted to go away with her, that was his motivation at that point. Michael didn't have a motivation like that.
Yeah.
Like Michael didn't love anyone or care about anyone. That's why Michael was different. He just wanted to go home and stare out the window. Like in the flashback scenes and Kills in 78, the cops are looking for him, and he's saying, oh yeah, I used to have to go and play with Michael back when we were kids. My mom would make me do it. But he would just stare out his sister's window. And then the evil came into him, and if someone got in his way of doing that, he killed them. But in that timeline, they basically make it like all he wants to do is go home. His thought process is definitely different in the new series than it is in the other series.
I don't know. I have to say, I was really happy that it ended.
Yeah, it was a nice ending. It's not the last of Michael Myers we'll see. They'll reboot it from another point or start it all over again or something. And I'll watch them then too as well. But this was a good fitting for the end of like Jamie Lee Curtis playing Laurie Strode, that character. Like we did in the zombie movies. We got a backstory of him when he was a child. Something you didn't see in the other ones. Because in the original, it looked like his parents were very like clean cut.
Right.
Decent money. Looked like they were like, a well-to-do family. Where in the zombie one.
Even if they were that picture perfect in Michael's view, it was this.
Yeah.
That's why I like that. Because it could look like that and look normal to everybody else. But that's how it was for him. Yeah.
On the inside, he's tormented.
Right.
But he's around this picture-perfect family, but he's not the picture-perfect family, clearly.
Right.
He despises it, obviously. And then never speaks again. But I did like in the zombie one, showing the kind of crappy upbringing. His mom's a stripper. The family's so disorganized and messed up. No wonder Michael was messed up in that movie. But I loved how big they made him. Like, he was a massive dude. The other Michael's just a regular kind of size guy, just kind of super powered or amped up or something. But and Halloween 2 is zombie.
I tried because I was like, wow, he's got something here. I actually really like that. And then 2 came and I'm like, it didn't even, like, why? It didn't need to be made.
Yeah.
Like, I like the fact that it was in the asylum, and I like things like asylums because it's really fucking creepy. But I mean, it just, what it did, I didn't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, that's just some people like it. So, and I'm just one of those, I guess few people that don't. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I
think like so many sequels, they don't need to necessarily be made.
The kills were cool, but the storyline was like, eh. The white horse and the ghost of his mom and ghost of himself. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? The third installment of Zombies movies, Worse, was supposed to be. I found out the plot line today. It was supposed to be, okay, so Laurie ends up in the institution at the very end of the movie. And apparently Michael survived, and he's in the institution as well. And Dr. Loomis survived his stabbing and puts himself in prison just so he's safe for Michael because he knows he's going to break out again. So what happens is Michael breaks out, Laurie breaks out. They team up to go get Loomis together, and she fights Michael, and apparently they kill each other, and that's the end of the movie. That was supposed to be Zombies number 3.
I like that. I like the ending.
That would have been kind of neat, right?
Right. Boom, knockout, drag out, fight to the death.
Yeah.
I think that would be awesome.
Maybe they'll get Zombie to do that at some point. I doubt it, though. He said in an interview, as they're in production, constantly getting phone calls saying, hey, can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? And he's like, I've already filmed scenes. If I do that, I have to refilm everything. All those scenes are gone and the story is changing too much. He's like, no, leave me alone.
And he's like, I don't care what we have, just cut it, throw it together, and send it. I remember that.
I think that's why he threw in the white horse and shit, just to be like, hey, this way you'll never ask me to make another Halloween movie, because I did have plans for a third one, but you keep fucking with my movie, so I'm gonna fuck it over so it bombs and you'll never ask me to do it again, and I won't have to go through all this again.
He might have done it that way, and you probably
I think it was more like, fuck you to the company and being like, nope, not dealing with this no more.
He is really good. Like, his movies may not come out exactly as he may have wanted them to, but they're close enough and he's happy with it, which I think a lot of them are very good. I mean,
yeah,
I'm just me, but I think like listening to him in, on podcasts and interviews and, videos and things like that, he knows his stuff. He knows like that they were called monster movies back then. He has that appreciation for that old time film, which I love because so many people like overlook it. And I swear, if you watch a black and white movie compared to a color movie, you'd be amazed at the detail that you wouldn't have noticed with the color. Oh, yeah. And I love that about it. He gets it, and he knows this stuff and he gets it.
Well, I mean, that reflects in his music, and especially in like White Zombie when he first started, and all the imagery and artwork and the music videos and stuff. You could tell he was like a classic horror fan, and
yeah,
it came out, and that was kind of like, that's kind of his thing. And then there was like, he would like also bring boldness to it at the same time. But
right.
I mean, he's just an interesting character. I remember seeing his episode of Cribs and seeing what his house is like.
Yeah.
The memorabilia and stuff he has in there is insane.
The monsters and stuff. Yeah.
Crazy good. Music can either make or break a scene by the way they.
Well, that's what sells a movie and keeps you entertained. You don't realize it unless you go back and like study it, or maybe like you're not paying attention and you go, wow, what's that sound? And then you realize it. That's what I like, because so many people miss things like that go into a movie. Something like that, you remember how, oh man, it's getting good. That's because of the score that was chose. That all comes together, and with the editing and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Halloween theme is it's an iconic theme now.
No, I agree. It's so funny because you can hear like the original version or you can hear like the karaoke version of it. Doesn't matter. You still go, oh, yeah, I know that. It's so recognizable. It's like the Jaws theme. It's very simple, but very, it sticks with you. It's very magnetic.
Yeah.